session. My name is Rajiv, and I'm the Senior Solutions Consultant at LogMeIn. I hope you guys are staying safe in this current times, and although we are recovering well, but still we have a long road ahead. So today, what we will talk about is how do we plan from pandemic to the way forward as the remote work becomes the new normal, and what are the 4 steps to set up the remote IT help desk. So pandemic has hit us all and it has hit us in many different ways. Some of us have been fortunate enough to survive through this pandemic with our loved ones, but there are a lot of people who have been affected adversely in this scenario, especially the organizations. What differentiates a great organization from a not so good organization is their ability to react, adapt, and follow the new norm. And that is exactly what we will going to talk about in today's session, where we see how IT organizations are reacting, adapting, and adjusting to the new norm. But this is just a beginning, right? Because there are a lot of things that organizations have to adopt. They have to move to a completely cloud-based environment. They have to set up their uh, remote uh, remote help-desk infrastructure. They have to set up security and so many other things. So in March 2020 was unlike any other March in our lifetimes. Many of you, just like LogMeIn, instructed your employees to pack up their workstations and set up home offices. That included your help desk, which with some minimal planning had to become completely virtual. So for many, this required an immediate investment in the tools and capacity that was needed to support a remote workforce. But while we adjust to the new reality, we have to look at 3 key different factors. And biggest one is when people are working remote, we have to make sure that security is taken care of. And security becomes the biggest challenge for the IT help desk and the remote help desk teams, because technicians and remote workers are no longer on the corporate network. So providing support to the support issues need to be resolved securely over any network. And this also impacted your support tickets, because when remote workers balance their personal work with balance their work with their personal obligations, business and personal lives began to blur, right? Your professional and personal life starts to get impacted, and that is reflected in the volume and predictability of the support tickets, because gone are those days where the support IT team can just walk up to the desk of the employee and provide the remote support, or you can just quickly wave a hand and call the IT help desk to fix the issue, right? For every new issue, you have to raise a ticket, you have to bring in the collaboration with your support team, and within the support team as well, a lot of different people have to coordinate with others and make sure that the issues are resolved. So the support tickets have gone up considerably. So now we have moved into a phase of learning how to adopt, right? For your help desk, the processes and approaches you relied on before may no longer no longer work, and so the tools and functionalities you rely on may shift. So whatever the tools you were using earlier may not work at this point, because you might be just chatting on Skype or Slack and calling the IT team to your desk and getting the issue resolved. But same thing cannot be done now. Even when you talk about the IT team, if the L1 agent is not able to resolve the issue, or if one particular support team member is not able to solve the issue, he could quickly walk up to the L2 agent or a more experienced technician who could resolve the issue. But in the current scenario, that is not possible. And that's why you need tools where collaboration is the key. Technicians may come across new issues that they are less familiar with when working off network. And this will require collaboration with senior team members to leverage the expertise. And that is why you would need tools where you can take help of the internal technicians or even the external technicians. And that's where Rescue fits right in, where it provides you collaboration capabilities as well, where you can invite an internal technician or even an external technician like an OEM. So for example, if you have vendors who are managing the server machines, or if you have vendors from Dell, HP, Lenovo who are managing your laptops and computers and you want to invite them to resolve the issue, you can actually invite an external technician to fix the issue, even if they don't have the rescue license. That is the uh, reach and capability of rescue. One of the biggest issues that we have seen that most of the employees and the support teams have faced is the installation and troubleshooting of the equipment, right? Because every time you reach out to IT team, they would ask you to install some application in your machine, or some applet that needs to be downloaded. But with some new products like Rescue Live Guide and Live Lens, they are completely browser based. So you don't need to install anything on the user machine. And whenever you need help, you can simply click on a link and join the session. So that again is a very important capability. So the final phase is the new norm. And although the crisis will eventually subside, which is already happening with the latest vaccines that we have got, and everyone is getting vaccinated as the time passes, it's becoming clearer that we will shift to a more permanent, flexible work model, right? LogMeIn has moved to a complete. So there are a variety of workplace trends showing that our flexible work will help your business in a very long run, such as significant cost savings, happier employees, and sustainability. Because these days companies do take CSR activities very seriously. What is the impact on their carbon footprint, sustainability, reducing costs, and so on and so forth. So it's not just keeping the employees happy, but there's other environmental benefits that you get out of working remotely. So a lot of companies are permanently moving to working remotely. With my presentation. So the first thing that we need to think about is overcome the early challenges. As remote work becomes the new reality, how do you overcome the early challenges? In fact, what are the early challenges that you all must have faced? So the first one is the infrastructure. Because the shift was quick, people were caught off guard. They were not sure what to do. One fine day, it was announced that we are going into lockdown, and companies were not ready with the right infrastructure, and only few people had the right tools in place. Then came the access, because in industries like pharma or BFSI, there are machines which are in office permanently. The employees cannot take those machines home. So the accessibility to those machines became a huge challenge. Nobody knew how to access those machines. And third one is security. So whether you want to access those machines or whether you want to provide access to the users from their personal machine, security became very, very critical. So what were the best practices in those times? The first one is VPN, because a secured connection, a secure network is always very important. So no matter what VPN you are using, whether you're using Cisco or anything else, always ask users to connect on VPN. So whether it's a personal device or company device. So this takes care of the security piece. But how do you take care of the remote access piece? That's where the different security feature in Rescue comes in, right? And that also takes care of all the vulnerabilities that you think about. So these are some of the issues that a lot of our customers have faced. They have shared with us some of the challenges that they have faced. And first one is branding. So what happens is, if you're using any remote support tool, any phishing scammer or a hacker can initiate a rescue session or any other remote support session, be it TeamViewer, be it AnyDesk, be it Bombgar, with your employee. And employee, without knowing who the end technician is, whether he is the right technician or he's a scammer, he can fall into the trap. So it is important that you keep the branding in place. You give a page which is dedicated to your organization, right? And you would need a self-host pin page where you can allow only approved URL for pin entry, right? You just don't go and enter pin on any generic URL, right? So you can create a custom page for your organization that will accept PIN only from your organization by validating their domain. So there are two things to it. One, the PIN that is provided to the end user, to the employee, is generated by the right technician, and the PIN that will be accepted on that page has to be the the PIN of your domain. So these are the two things that are very important whenever you are providing remote support. So there has to be some mechanisms where you can have company PIN code validation and you can have domain validation. The third thing is restricted access package. So what it does is you can also provide a restricted access package using IP restrictions for technicians. So what it'll do is the technicians can initiate a rescue session only from the approved or whitelisted IPs. They cannot initiate rescue session from any open network. So if there is a scammer who is trying to initiate a rescue session from an open network, it will not be accepted on your custom page. So that is the kind of security, that is the kind of enterprise grade solution that you would need when you are initiating a remote support or whenever you're providing a remote support to your employees or to your customers, right? Because this has become a new norm. So I think this is now the right time where things are settling down, where we have, the bad is behind us. Now only the good times are ahead of us. So we can spend in having some permanent infrastructure and permanent solution in place for the long-term view. The second thing that we need is support uncharted employee needs. So what we have to see here is what happens in a scenario where employees are not even able to start the machine, because employee needs can change from employee to employee. It is not necessary that every employee will have a same kind of issues every time. The issues can change, right? And you would need solutions that will fix any kind of issues, and they don't have to travel to the office location or any other location to fix this. And we know that remote support tools such as Rescue Live Lens solve a pain point when customer can show you what they're trying to describe. But now we are easily seeing that the virus accelerated the need for implementing a live sharing solution that solves for a net new need. So if my computer itself is not getting booted up, how do I fix that issue? So I would need a solution like a live lens where I can initiate a session like this, and I can provide support to my employees, right? So I can tell them exactly what they have to do. And this solution is entirely browser-based. There is no app to download or install, just a click of a link. So an SMS will be sent to the end user, and they will just click on the link, initiate the session, and you can provide any kind of hardware related support, whether it's your computer, whether it's your home office setup, and you have some docking stations, external devices, so on and so forth. And it supports all the platforms. So whether it's an iOS device or Android or Windows or Mac, any of those devices are supported with Rescue Live Lens. So this is a video-based support solution that can provide for any hardware-related issues. So moving on to the third point is arming your IT support team with superpowers, because you want to provide them with capabilities to solve the issues faster. So what I will do now is I will show you one example, or I will walk you through a live demo. I'll show you what are the kind of features that are available in Rescue. So there are three things that I'm going to talk about in this section. One is collaboration and transfer session. So how different technicians can collaborate in the same session and provide support to the end user. How you can capture survey both from the end user as well as from the technician, and how you can use history and notes option to see the historical rescue sessions. And also if you want to take notes, you can do that as well. So yeah, so what you see on your screen right now is the rescue console. So so I'll go ahead and initiate a new session that will take just 20 seconds of your time. So I will enter this here. So once I initiate the session, I will show you the capabilities of Rescue. From any of you who are already using Rescue, you would know the kind of capabilities it has, but there are certain scenarios where people are using Rescue and they're not even aware of more than 50% of its capabilities. So it will be a good use of their time as well. All right, so my session is connected in less than 10 seconds, as I mentioned. So once I get connected, I will go ahead and ask for permission. So this is again a security feature that is built in, that technician has to ask for the end user permission every time. He cannot perform any action in the user machine without their permission. So you can see here that my session is established. Now there are multiple things that I can do. So when I'm providing remote support to my end user, I can use this yellow icon to transfer the session. So if I want to transfer the session, I can simply click here. I can see all the people who are available online. And if I want to transfer the session to them, I can simply select their name and transfer the session, right? That is one way of doing it, which is available with almost every tool. The second thing that I'm going to talk about is the invite technician feature. And this is what brings differentiator to the table. So what I can do with Rescue is I can invite an internal technician or an external technician. So basically, if I'm not able to solve the issue and I need help with some other technician, so I can simply ask them to join the same session, right? So it will help me to gain the experience on how to solve a particular kind of issue. At the same time, I can provide faster resolution, right? So this will improve your first call resolution. This will also reduce your average handle time and many other KPIs that you track in your service desk. So I can either invite an internal technician who is part of my organization and has a license, so I can see who is online. I can simply click on their name and invite them. But let's suppose I want to invite an external technician, a vendor who manages my servers, or some OEM, right? And they don't have the rescue license. So what do I do in that case? So what I do is I just type their name here. I decide what permissions I want to provide them, and I send them the request. So what they need to do, let's say I click here test and I click on OK. So what they need to do is they need to go to logme123.com, enter the 6-digit PIN and join the session. That's all they need to do. They don't need to have a rescue license. They don't need to have paid license, anything. They can simply join this session here and provide remote support. So that's a very important feature. The second thing that I want to talk about, which I showed you in the slide, is history and notes. So what I can do in history and notes is the notes will allow me to obviously take any notes that I want to take. So I can take my notes here and I can say this is test and I can save. So I can save the notes, which is very common. But what I can also do is I can go to history and I can see all the historical rescue sessions in that particular machine, right? So we do machine binding and see all the rescue sessions that have happened in that particular machine, irrespective of who the technician was, right? So even if somebody in your team takes a rescue session in that particular machine, it will show me what all happened in that session, and I can simply click on that and I can see all the logs of that particular session, right? So that's how important here, important section is history. So if I see if this issue is reoccurring or resurfacing, or this is a new issue, so I can actually go in the history. Or even if the same issue, I can actually go in history and I can see how the issue was resolved, and I can do the same steps to resolve the issue. So this is how I can use the history tab. The third thing here is the feedback, right? So once I end the session from here, there will be an option to take the survey from the technician, whether the issue was resolved or not. And you can simply customize this survey form for the technician. You can decide what questions you want, which question should be optional, which question should be mandatory. So I can select and I can submit it. And same thing On the end user side as well, if I show you my virtual machine where I was remoting in, here also I have a feedback form which I was using to provide which I can use to capture the feedback from the end user. So again, I can customize the look and feel of this page. I can customize the questions. I can do it as per my brand. Talking about brand, one of the example I want to show you is the Microsoft example, where what Microsoft has done is they have customized the pin entry page, the logme 123 pin entry page as per their requirements, right? So they have created their own page where they have terms and conditions. And when I accept this terms and conditions, it will give me an option to enter the 6-digit pin. And here it says that Logmein Rescue is a third-party remote assistant product that is currently used to provide remote support. And this is the page that will accept the 6-digit PIN only from Microsoft technicians. If I create a session, if I generate a session and try to enter my 6-digit PIN, it will not accept that. So this is the security feature that is built in, right? So that was pretty much about the demo that I want to show you in this session. So we'll go back to our slides. So what we saw is how you can collaborate and transfer sessions in Rescue, how you can use the survey options to capture the feedback from both technician as well as end user, and how you can use history and notes to see what has happened in the past. The last thing is how you want to stay connected to your employees. So if you look at some stats, that there's always a silver lining in everything, right? So this research has shown that the average US employees would have saved 200 hours each year if they did not have to commute. And that's 200 more hours for family time, sleep, vacation, and maybe work. In addition to this, eliminating commute help employees to feel better about their environmental choices as well. So if remote capable jobs would transition to remote 50% of the time, we would eliminate 54 million tons of greenhouse gas, right? So that's why it is important that you stay connected, but still you work remotely, right? And because there are some benefits to do that. And just to share one of the benefits, I want to give an example of e-clinical work here. So if I quote them, we chose LogMe in Rescue and Rescue Lens as our main tool for remote support due to its ease of use, functionality, and high reliability. Our employees are very pleased to know the IT staff is fully equipped to connect via multiple methods, and we are always a pin code away from connecting a session. So this is the testimonial from one of our customers. But when you talk about connecting with your employees, you should give them different options to connect with the technicians, and we also give technicians enough methods to connect to the end user. So when we talk about the technician, there are different ways in which they can connect, right? One is calling card. So calling card is a kind of an application that is installed in every machine, and they can generate a PIN code and give it to the user so that they can connect. You can also have a specified URL which you can use to provide PIN code, and you also have unattended access, right? So unattended access is something where you can add a machine for your unattended access, and you can access those machines anytime by just clicking on that machine, or you can also use the connect on LAN if you're connected on the VPN. For the end user, for the end customer, again, there are different ways to connect. So you can use calling card, you can use a channel form where they can just fill and connect. And there's also a channel link which they can use to connect with the technician. So these are the different ways in which you can provide your customers and your technicians to connect with each other. And these are the 4 ways in which you can go from the stage of pandemic to stage of planning for the future, where you can decide how you want your future to look like, whether you want to move to a completely remote workspace, or what are the kind of changes you want in your help desk team.